All right, so I want to take a moment to talk briefly about the setup that I use in order to heal. Now, I'm going to show you the equipment that I use first because it's going to make sense uh, in regards to what I have set up and how I do things. It's going to be important for you to understand that. Okay? So, the first thing to take note of is that I'm using both a Razor Orb Weaver and a Razor Naga Trinity. Now, the Orb Weaver you can see is a side control panel. It's set up with 5 columns, 4 rows, and you'll note that my abilities are set up in 5 columns and 4 rows, um, which mirrors the Orb Weaver exactly. And it allows me to make that visual to mental tie-in with what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. The next thing we have is, the Razer Naga Trinity gaming mouse. Now I am not using all the buttons. I'm using the middle one with the 7 buttons. And this one right here is kind of set up funky. We'll ignore that. Okay. That's how I normally have mine set up, and this is across all my characters, and that matches, again, the pattern that is set up in the Orb Weaver. Not perfectly, but kind of perfectly. So it kind of mimics that round shape, and it gives me, like, this is the 1 button, and you can see that the 1 button is right here. It's to the front, copied by the 2 and 4. This would be 2, this would be 4, etc., and going around the corner that way. So that's just how I have things set up. Gives me the tools that I need in order to do what I need to do. Okay. Now I developed this setup originally for Shadow Priest, and one of the mistakes that I keep making on this one here that I don't make on Shadow Priest is that that I don't have the the target problem in Shadow Priest, because I'm always doing damage with that one. So I'll have, this is set up as my offensive spells, this will be set up as my healing spells. I always keep the enemy targeted so that even though I'm healing, I can always zap here, because that's how Disc Priest heals. We spam a lot of atonement out, and then we blow stuff up, and that's how we keep things healthy. So speaking of which, Tail Chandra here is my Disc Priest. She's a project that I'm working on, because I think what we're going to do is we're going to shift out of having so many druid heals in the party, and we're going to shift to me playing Disciplined Priest, and that'll change things up, I think, a little bit. Okay, so what I then have set up is, because this is what I'm using, and by the way, that add-on that I'm using is called LVUI. Okay, that is it's a complete swap. It's a complete user interface adapter. I like it. It took me a while to get used to it. I used to use Bartender a lot, but this one was a little bit more robust and a little bit more aggressive. I keep all of my panels down here where everything is visual. Now, in a party, my party bars are down here, but in a raid, they're tucked over here. The important part about having things set up this way for me is that when we set up the panels, and it doesn't matter, I don't have to be an LVI, I can use default panels and this will work just fine. But what's really important on this aspect here is that I don't have to ever click a target. Okay, what I've done with my abilities is I'm using another add-on called Click, and Click allows me to keybind these to my keypad. So remember that, like I said, this is developed for me, the tools that I have. I went to key bindings and I went to clicks, because clicks are more are faster than mouse, hunt, and press. So that's what I'm doing here. That's a very deliberate design consideration. So in Click, I can set my heals to buttons. And then what it allows me to do is, instead of ever having to target Tail Chandra, you can see that I have this one right here. All I have to do is mouse over her, hit my appropriate skills, and you can see I'm casting my heals on her. If I need to cast a heal on me, whop, you know, and it's just really fast and simple, and this is how I prefer to go. But again, this was also designed so that I could just automatically keep the target zapped while doing heals, and allows me to have a more aggressive, more robust, and a more reactive healing part. So when you take a look at this, the only purpose I want to show you is that this is a different way to go. Um, all healing is good. All tools are good. You use what you like to use. I cannot stand Healbot or Voodoo. It just doesn't jive with the way my brain works. In this case here, this does jive, and it does allow me to do what I need to do. So I'm really happy with this. This is how I like to play, and it does good things for me. So hopefully that explains a few things for you. Again, this is more for Disc Priest setup, because I would do as the Discipline Priest, I would sit here and target the boss. I would keep throwing attacks down on that one, and that's all with this. One other thing I want to show you real quick is a handy macro that I like to use, and you will use this for a lot of things. Thank you, UI interface error. And this is very simply, it's /cast bracket at cursor close bracket efflorescence. Now what makes this one sweet, again, this is a mouse click, is I just point my mouse and whop, there's my effervescence. I don't ever have to click it and target it. I just point it and there she is. And it allows me to chase the tank around. The trick that I need to get in a habit of is to remember to put it on the tank. Sometimes I get busy trying to do some other things because I do get a little bit befuddled. Welcome to old age. Another thing I talked to you about this the other day. When you're working with a dungeon, it's going to be your choice, okay? You take a look at, even in raids, it's going to be your choice where the efflorescence goes. But I'm going to tell you right now that if you can, put it on the tank, not on you or on the party. You want it on the tank because that provides a heal over time. That means that you don't have to aggressively heal the tank as much as you normally would. But other things come into factor. Let's say that I already have efflorescence on the tanks. Maybe you want to put yours on the party to help slow down ticking damage or dots that have been put on the party, or anything else like that. When we get into Shriekwing, though, one of the things I would like us to do is when we run behind the pill like this, drop your efflorescence right here so that the party's getting big heals at that moment. And then once we come back out, we can shift to other things. Now, I'm not smart about whether they stack or not, and I'm going to tell you, to be honest, I'm not going to research that. I'm just going to do it as if they do stack. Anyways, I hope that gives you an oversight of what I do. Remember that all tools are good. Use what you need to use. I want to get some runs in so I can try and pass some gear down to you, but I'm going to be shifting to cloth. So I think that will help, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do it before we raid this week. So anyways, thanks for watching. We'll take a look at how things go. We've got a few adjustments that we need to make that I think will make our fight, both in Shriekwing and the Huntsman, a little bit better, and we'll take a look at fixing that come this raid weekend. So see you soon.